Hello and welcome to the Gutsy Granny. And today I'm really honoured to be speaking to a girlfriend of mine, Cate Dubois. Cate's a fellow Australian and humbly saying this, is probably one of the wisest women that I know. And when I've got, it's true, Cate, and when I've got a problem, I know that what I will get from Cate is definitely not the answer that I necessarily want to hear. It's definitely not fixing me, but it will open up my horizons, my thought patterns, my ability to self-heal with her incredible guidance. And to be able to share that with my new Instagram family is a treat which you will experience in a minute. So Cate, thank you so much and she's leaving tomorrow at 7 o'clock, oh my God, and she's giving me her last day here and she's going into quarantine in Australia.
Yay.
To see her kids. So we're all very excited for her adventure for a few months. So Cate comes from a little town south of Victoria called Apollo Bay, which is a surfing town and freezing cold on the Great Australian Bight.
Great Ocean Road.
What's the ocean there?
Oh, the ocean. The Great Southern Ocean.
The Great Southern
Bass Strait.
Bass Strait.
Yeah.
And it's one of the most fierce, amazing coastlines in the world, probably.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And Cate was very much part of her community. She was, was a real estate agent like me, which is interesting. We have a lot of similarities. A yoga teacher, and very much part of her community. And again, like me, left everything that we knew that was safe and sound, jumped on that aeroplane, that Garuda flight, and where did we land? In Bali.
Paradise.
In paradise. And what did your friend, the comedian friend of yours, call?
Peter Pania.
And why is Bali Peter Pania?
Because we're all living on this higher frequency of love and joy and really don't, I guess, allow ourselves to go into these darker places. And I guess there's a lot of freedom here for us in Bali to be able to explore our spirituality and to be able to live out our dreams. So yeah, like Peter Pania.
It's nice.
Fun.
Does that mean I can be Tinkerbell?
Oh yeah.
Yes, please. I want to be Tinkerbell. So along with being an incredibly wise woman, Cate is a doer, and she's got three books underway, all of them topics that are fascinating. The first book that I want to talk about in more depth with her today is called Triggered AF, and I asked her, Cate, what does AF stand for?
As fuck. Triggered as fuck.
Triggered as fuck. The second one is the Transforming You, Life According to Cate, which also sounds pretty amazing.
That's really taking people through a spiritual transformation journey, just understanding what religion, spirituality means for them, and giving them a little intro to things like the chakra, the energy centers, and just, I guess it's almost like a bit of a dummy's guide to spirituality and evolving.
Love it.
Yeah.
We all need that.
Yeah.
Because I think spirituality just seems so big.
Yeah, it's huge.
And where do you start? And you've got the occult tiles and you've got your Joe Dispensers, but what do we, the normal human beings, do? And that's what I like about these interviews, that I'm speaking to people that are actually real life doing and preaching and experiencing and sharing what their journey is. And the third book, which is, you can say this one is going to be a best freaking seller.
Okay. How to tell if your husband's cheating on you, an intuitive guide to knowing when or if to leave your partner. And I guess that came from, I'm a projector, 6'4", I'm highly intuitive, have been since I was born, but shut down every time that I would speak what I thought was the truth, only to find that later on people would say, oh, you were actually right about that. And I'm like, oh, no shit. I actually have deep intuition, and it's about learning not to second guess your intuition so that you keep yourself safe and you keep yourself on your own spiritual path, or your own path that is going to fill you, and not other people around you that are always trying to take you away from that place of intuition. So
I just got tingles. I just got the tingles. Oh, you did too, Tanya. We all got tingles. We're all sitting here like, oh, I can feel it. But let's go back to the trigger book, because first I'd like you to explain to people that may not understand what is being triggered.
Okay. So, so being triggered is a call to action to go and look at deeper wounds that we have within us. And so we all have these wounds from our childhood. And if you read the book, you'll see that that's even coming from a deeper spiritual soul journey, that we've actually signed a soul contract to come into this life, maybe pick the shittiest parents that we can, always, or partners or business colleagues or whatever, to actually trigger us into evolving and moving through those karmic debts, if you like, which karma's not a bad thing. It's always creating an opportunity to gain new information. Like I like to say, the soul's journey is like Mario from Super Mario Nintendo, grabbing coins as each life he goes through. So you might get the coin of forgiveness or the coin of self-love, and then at the end of the worlds you have all the coins, and then we come back to oneness. So that's my take on spirituality and the soul journey.
So do you believe that we should be suffering? Do you believe it's our entitlement as humans that we must suffer?
100%. I feel like it's like this elastic band effect. We need to expand out, and usually that's pain. The expansion is usually quite painful. You'll know that because you've given birth. The expansion is quite painful, and then we contract, and then we move through. It's almost like we get so big that we can't move through the portal, and it's painful, and then we contract and we can slip through. So
Cate, I've often noticed in my own life, like when everything's going really well, I'm going to get triggered, or life is going to throw me some curveballs. And you know, as you know, I lost my cat last night. I've been crying for the last 24 hours, and I was almost going to cancel this because I looked in the mirror and went, holy shit, I look like fuck.
you look
but
beautiful.
thank you. But I'm just sad.
Yeah.
And I sort of asked the universe why. I mean, I've had to give up my business this week. I've had to deal with, you know, my mum's will, all these really big things that are going on, and then the universe takes my little cat away.
Yeah, sometimes I was talking to Deb about this before. Sometimes we have these limiting beliefs that sit below the surface in our unconscious, if it's particularly come from a very painful space, or perhaps in our unconscious mind, which is the one that we just navigate life through 95% of the time. Like when we leave home, we usually buy the brand of toothpaste that our parents suggested or we had growing up, like McLean's or Colgate or something, until we make a conscious decision to maybe buy something with bicarb in it, right? So that's the difference between the subconscious mind and the conscious mind. When we actually bring new information in and we make a conscious choice to change things, what can actually happen to us? And you had 3 different situations that were seemingly causing you pain, and you perhaps didn't think they were connected. There may be an underlying belief that it's not okay for me to experience happiness.
Oh.
So that is, so they all look like very different events. My business was taken from me. I'm going goosebumps. My business was taken away from me. My cat was taken from me, and then, you know, and then the other situation. And it looks like they're all different, but they can very often and usually are coming from the same limiting beliefs that we have. And so you could get into a story, for example, about where did that come from, that limiting belief, right? Does that make sense?
Oh, absolutely.
But the story is only going to help you perpetuate that story. So what we need to do is understand the emotion behind that, or the thought behind that emotion, and then go in and just clear the energy, because thoughts are just energy. They're nothing but that. We are just electrical.
So, okay, so let me try and understand this. So I've got this limiting belief that I don't deserve to be happy, successful, whatever my positive belief is. Because deep down inside, I've definitely been wounded as a child. You know, I had narcissistic, codependent parents, toxicity, which most of us have.
Yes.
So therefore, in my psyche, I don't believe that I deserve this, but I want it. So how do I change this?
Okay, so first of all, understanding that anybody that hurts anybody else is a person in pain.
Yeah.
So people that are narcissistic are no different than an alcoholic or somebody that's a sex addict or a drug addict or a yoga addict. I used to be a yoga addict. You know, we have all these forms of addiction that are helping us to soothe the pain of our experience from early childhood. So everybody is on a soul journey, and none of us are getting out alive without actually experiencing some sort of pain in our life. So we need to have this deeper understanding that whilst it's convenient for us to label them as a narcissist, that's not actually helping us to get in and actually heal the wound, because we can't heal that person. We can only heal ourselves.
Yeah.
So as long as we keep believing that their behavior was narcissistic, we will always feel like the victim. So that's number one.
Yeah.
Number two is that it is just a perception of the mind that you don't deserve to be happy. And the way that the mind works is that when we get a thought and then it seems to be that situation's repeated and then repeated over time, then we just take it on as truth. Rather than using our free will or our mind to go, hey, that's a bit different. For example, if a dog bites your ankle when you're a small child, you could grow up with the belief that dogs are scary. Yeah? Or you could choose to grow up with the belief that not all dogs are the same, and that most dogs you see by lots of evidence that they're very loving. So you choose not to file that in the trauma part of the brain. You just file it in the part of the brain that maybe that wasn't a pleasant experience, but next time it's going to be. This is a new experience. And we do that with people. When we meet somebody that maybe has hurt us, then the next time we meet someone with the same name, we don't think they're going to hurt us, right? We can do that. We use free will to navigate our way through life. So if we can do it with people, we can do it with dogs. If we can do it with dogs, we can do it with emotions and thoughts.
Interesting.
So what we need to do is, isolate the thought and see if that really is what's affecting your body. And then we go in and we use a method to undo that thought. So whether we use EMDR or EFT, which is emotional freedom technique, or tapping, we can actually, at the quantum field, because it's where that energy is living, we can actually cancel that out. And it's not cancelling, getting rid of the memory, it's actually creating a pathway for a new memory. So that old memory, yes, it happened, but each time we experience something new, I'm making a new decision with my conscious mind, not with that subconscious repeat mind.
So without being thank you, Kate, thank you so much. Without being personal, how did you evolve? How did your wisdom evolve around you? Because I've sat with Kate sometimes where I know she's channeling. Yeah. Because if I've said to her, hold on, what did you say? She said, I don't know. And I've seen this so many times with healers, that they're not consciously, they're channeling. And they're channeling their wisdom, that higher force, whatever you want to say. Yeah. So how did your evolution take place?
Again, because I'm a 6 and I'm an intuitive.
Just explain what a 6 is.
And number 6 is it's the third eye, so it's deep intuition. So
what are the numbers actually?
Oh, they actually run with the chakras. So this is with your pineal and pituitary gland, which is the third eye of wisdom. So we receive messages from the universe through the crown, and then the messages get sent from the pineal gland to the pituitary gland. Then those messages go through the throat, through the thyroid, and then through the heart chakra, the pancreas, and into the rest of the body. So we go from 1 root chakra, 2 sacral, 3 solar plexus, 4 heart, 5 throat. 6 is our third eye, and then 7 is the crown chakra.
And we're all one of these.
Everybody has a number assigned to them for life.
And how do you know what number you are?
Well, it would be the same in Eastern numerology, Western numerology, or I use Yantra numerology, which is an ancient form of Hatha yoga coming from Ayurvedic times. but it doesn't matter which way you get there. It's all based on sacred geometry, and I'm a number 6. So
is that human design as well?
it will show up in your human design, because
Right.
human design brings in Eastern, Western, Yantra,
Yeah.
and a whole heap of other modalities. But it doesn't really matter how you get there. You're just going to be the same.
And I think
So I'm number 6.
I think what's interesting with Cate too is that she's not woo-woo, and that's what's so interesting. I mean, she was a real estate agent. She's run businesses. She's run large companies. They've just built this extraordinary, her and her husband have just built this extraordinary house, which is probably one of the most beautiful houses in Bali, but it's also completely and utterly sustainable. They've got their own vegetables growing. The other morning I texted Cate and I said, I've got this really bad infection in my toe, I think from a mani pedicure. She said, not a problem, crush garlic, stick garlic on it, off you go. And okay, I'm going to have a smelly foot, but I stuck the garlic on and it went. It's a natural antibiotic. So her knowledge of the plant world is also quite extraordinary. So there's nothing woo-woo about this lady, which is why I find her, because there's a lot of woo-woo people on this island.
I feel quite grounded in that. But going back to triggers, I like to say triggers are a gift in strange wrapping paper. And so everybody that seems to have done something to you is actually offering you almost an olive branch or the opportunity to heal. So I don't know if anybody had younger siblings or brothers. I had 2 older ones, but they were constantly poking me. I was like, and I'd cry, and Mum would say, well, you need to stop crying, stop reacting, and then they won't do it anymore. But really what people are doing when it feels like they're wounding us, they're actually offering us an opportunity to see what needs to be healed inside. So I have this beautiful saying, I guess. It says, anything other than love that I feel for you is my stuff. And anything other than love that you feel for me is yours. So
can you repeat that? Because I'm just about to tear up here. Yeah, we're all about to tear up.
Anything other than love that I feel for you.
Anything other than love that I feel for you.
That I feel for you.
And I'm feeling for you.
Is our stuff.
Is our stuff.
Right. So what that does is take all of the responsibility back here. So you come to me and you say, your hair doesn't look great today. And I'm deeply wounded. Why would that worry me if I actually thought my hair looked good? It would only worry me or trigger me if I actually had a belief that my hair didn't look good. So why do I think my hair doesn't look good? What's going on inside of me that is injured?
So that's your unworthiness.
So maybe at school, when I was younger, somebody commented about my hair, maybe, and so, I mean, that's just a superficial example,
sure,
but
it
could be like a parent has said to you, you're useless, maybe all of your life, and really all they're doing is getting you to say to yourself to stand up and find that you're quite useful, that you do have a purpose in life, but they're triggering you to say, come on. And because it's our parents and we don't expect that from our parents, we feel quite wounded. So we unconsciously, or we're not aware of this soul contract that we've made before we come here. But what we will find is that the same issues keep coming up
over and over again till we
and all of that is a beautiful invitation each time to go, oh, okay, this is what this is about. But unfortunately what we do is we get caught up in our ego and our own grief, and we don't actually allow ourselves to go really deep and see what the actual original injury was.
That's where
Does that make sense?
It makes sense, but again, I'm really practical. I'm really practical. How? I want to know how, because I definitely want to change. I don't want to keep the patterns of my past, my children, all of that sort of stuff. How do we do this? How did you create your pause button?
Okay, I think that number one, we need to recognize when we are in avoidance. So we need to recognize when we're getting busy, when we should be quiet. And so I'm not suggesting that people need to meditate, because if you have a really busy mind, then meditation's not really going to help. Going to yoga, as I said before, if you're going to a vinyasa class and your head is full of worry and busy, it's probably the worst thing that you could possibly do. Yet going to a yin class may be more helpful, although when you go to a yin class you feel quite icky sometimes because stuff will start to come up. And when that stuff comes up, it can look like anxiety. And anxiety is there as a warning to say something big's about to change. And so in the West, the pharmaceutical company and misunderstanding, it says, no, if you feel anxious, go and dampen it down. I say, if you feel anxious, sit with that. Sit and see what arises.
Okay, but define sit with that. I know what it means, but define in your terminology, what does it mean?
Sit literally, place your feet on the floor, breathe, and then, name 5 things that you can feel, 5 things that you can see, 5 things that you can hear, 5 things that you can smell, and 5 things that you can taste. And by the time you get to taste, your anxiety will have gone. But just simply breathing, not up in the upper body, but breathing down below, calming the breath, going into the parasympathetic. Breath up here is sympathetic nervous system. It's the one for action. Down here is calm. So we breathe here, we connect to the earth, we connect to our bodies, we allow all of the sensations and senses to be alerted, and then the anxiety moves through us. It might come back again, but it will come back less than before.
And are we supposed to know what this anxiety is, or it doesn't matter? You just feel it?
It doesn't matter, just allow your body to feel it. You allow yourself to feel joy, but you don't allow yourself to feel sadness. So when I feel sad, I can't be sad, I'm going to go shopping, or I'm going to go and have a drink, or I'm going to call a friend, or, it's just be. Just be as quiet as you possibly can, and try not to smother that fire that's starting to lift inside of you that has all of the information about how to move through the portal.
Oh, Kate, I fear that we're going to have to wrap this up, but I just want to talk to you for hours and hours and hours, and I think this is just going to have to be a weekly. When she gets back, we're just going to have a weekly with Kate, because
I'd love to.
There's just so much wisdom. But just recapping, what we've sort of just scratched the surface of is the triggers. So basically, when someone triggers you, it's a gift. Look them in the eye, in your heart, go, I've just learned something about myself.
Yeah.
Is it everything that happens in our lives goes back to our deep wounding as children?
Yeah, or even past lives through epigenetics. It can be something that's come through ancestrally to us. But can I offer something for everyone, that if you're being triggered by somebody else and you feel like you want to really, lash out at them,
blame, project,
take a breath and say, I'm being really triggered right now. I don't know why. I don't know where this is coming from. It's not you, it's me. I'll get back to you. Because in doing that, you diffuse their fear that they're about to get into trouble. And then they can be calm. And then their calmness allows you to be calm. And then you can go away quietly and put it away for an hour or 2 hours, or go straight, whatever happens, go to the toilet if you're in a restaurant, and just breathe and say, okay, what is this really about? Because they didn't do anything. No. They just offered me an opportunity to heal. So what is this wound inside of me that comment triggered such a reaction, such fire in my body, or the sweats, or this ache in my stomach, or pain in my head? What was it that they said that triggered that in me?
And in your book, Kate, when it comes out, it's already available on Kate's website, which we'll put as a caption underneath, and you can get that for free. And it will be published on Amazon in the next little while. But there's also a workbook, or there's actual exercises
to help you through, and tapping techniques and muscle testing techniques that actually help you.
Which is amazing. Yeah. And then I think the third thing that sort of hit home with this beautiful interview that we've just had is the love.
Oh, anything other than love that I feel for you is my stuff, and anything other than love that you feel for me is yours. So if someone's losing their shit at you, you can send compassion, but not in a, like, oh, that's okay. You just send compassion, hold your space, just think divinity and hold your space, send them compassion, and know that eventually, it may not be today, but eventually they will see it and get it.
So I don't know if this is talking out of school, and we are probably running out of time, but Cate shared me a story that her husband, who is also a very dear friend of mine, is a very, very evolved man, a very rare species. That's why she married him. And 3 years ago?
Yeah.
2 years ago?
2 years ago.
2 years ago. And they were having a conflict. And well, you tell the story, because I was just like gobsmacked.
Which one was it?
About Paul.
Oh, about Paul. So my husband's father's name is Paul, and Paul, I never met him because he passed away before we were married, but I think that I feel like I really know him. So Paul shows up quite a lot, and
In Rob.
his voice gets very loud and his body gets very big, and he also gets quite strong and physical, not in a harmful way, but it's frightening. And I say to Rob, I think this is Paul talking. I'm not married to Paul. I'm married to Rob. And Rob is this beautiful, gentle, loving, caring, extraordinary man with so much compassion and empathy for everybody, including himself. But every now and again, Paul shows up. So I just gently remind him, hi, Paul. I'm not married to Paul. So Paul just needs to go and deal with that. And he often now catches it really quickly without even responding or reacting in a negative way. He'll go, oh, that didn't feel good. Okay. And then I get Rob back.
Well, on that note, I have to say, Cate,
thank you.
Every time I spend time with you, I just feel so enriched. I just feel like I've
Same.
summer. And thank you so much. And I think this one we're going to have to do a rerun, and we wish you a fabulous trip back with your kids.
Thank you. I can't wait to hold them. It's been about 18 months. So
we're all living.
My adults.
And thank you for sharing your beautiful home.
My pleasure. It's
love you to pieces.
Paradise. Thank you. Love you too.
Thank you, everybody. And thank you, my Instagram family, for being so kind to me today when all I wanted to do was burst into tears and stay in bed and cry. So have a wonderful day.
Thank you.